Alrighty. So, well, hey, you all. Wilson. Oh, I'm here. Let me explain the project. I was just getting started. So, somebody came up to my market bench a few weeks ago, uh, 2 weeks ago, and said, I have got this old rolling pin that belonged to my grandmother when she was a little girl. And it's Holly Hobby or Susie Homemaker, one of those old uh, girls' magazine kind of things that became a toy line. Uh, and so it feels like white oak. The grain is like poplar, but it's very, it's oily from being played with for 90 years. And it's missing one handle. So I'm going to try to turn some handles for this. And I've got my storyboard all laid out. Here, let me show you. And it's the only thing I didn't write down is the length. But let me grab my tape. So I'll set that aside. Don't go too far. Thank you. All right. And adjust you. You're leaning. What's up with that? Yeah, it's just a hair under. Well, it taken out the slip of the hook on the end of the tape measure. It's exactly 3 inches. So I need a pen. Where's my pen? Pencil will work. This, of course, being our first attempt at ever doing anything like this. Uh, my blank is 4 inches, so I'm going to come in ½ inch here, ½ inch there. Alright, that part's done. Now I need to mark out my storyboard. Boy, it is warm here today. It is not quite 80 degrees yet. That's Fahrenheit. It will be soon. All right. So now, let's see. Where did I sit them? There they are. All right, let's see who all's in my chat. Reading glasses. That's what I need. Hey, Joseph, how are you? Bobby, good morning. Mike, John. John, how goes the chefing? No, Mrs. Soldier is at the office doing accountancy things. Luke. Oh, Luke. Slancha. There's Slancha. All right, gang. Here goes. I'm going to turn you to the lathe and I'm going to get my act going here because it's vastly more interesting than I am. Do my best not to forget my chat. Square line for now. All right, so let's slow this down before we get caught up in this would be a lot simpler if my lathe had an automatic transmission, but it does not. So we just go through the motion. so we're going to take our calipers and 0. We're going to see at the 9.7. And we're going to be 9.9. All right. And at this end, we are 7.8. And we are perfect. All right, so I am going to leave this be right here so that I can sand it to dimension. And that's our first and most critical part. Now, there. So who all do I have here? Reading glasses. DJ Caldwell. Hey. Oops. Hey, Luke. I remember you. I am going to add you as a standard mod, so you can drop your link in there if you like. And John is already a mod. No Mrs. Soldier. She's at the office. She's much better at the chatting part than I am. I am strictly a pay attention to what I'm doing while I'm working guy. All right, let me grab the round carbide. And I will go to work on the rest of the handle. Mask down. Sandpaper. Where are you? Alright. So here we go. Let's give her a little spin. Alrighty, sandpaper there. Now it is a hair longer than the original. I don't think the fella cares so much about that as he cares about there being two handles for his granddaughters to play with it. So see here, be a little 9.6. Caliper batteries. Little battery, if you don't get it seated in there just right, then caliper does all kinds of crazy shenanigans. All right. That should be good. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. Let's sand our little nub off here. Fit. Now I just need to sand off that nub. Alrighty, let's see if we can't do the other one. I don't know if I would say just as good, but how about close? Alright, so what are we all up to this week anyway? Let me grab the been a wild weekend. Hey Johnny. Hey Amy. Yeah. Hey Benny, how are you? Yes, Amy is definitely a Turner to watch. The electric company. All right, you all. I'm going to get back to it so I can get her did. Get that. Get that storyboard over here. My pencil. Oops. All right, so there is that again. All right. So I have 4-inch hardwood dowel. I am turning a 3-inch handle. It'll turn out to be a little more, a little less, as close as I can get it for this old Holly Hobby rolling pin from the 1930s. This is a customer make it so my grandkids can play with it request. So I'm just going to get into it. So, all right, here we go. Parting tool there. All right, here goes. So let's try this with our caliper. Got to come down 2 millimeters there and 2 there. Alright. Alright, here goes. Wonder how I can hit the first one so easy and then have a hard time with the second one. Alright, here goes. Alright. Alright. So that part we're going to leave so we can sand it. And we'll get back into this. Here we go. here we go. Alrighty. Well, we got a little sandy sanding to do, but close it off here. Sand it a little bit. See where we go from there. Alrighty. So, a little twist, give that a little twist. grab my sandpaper. All right, so here we go. Nice. Alrighty, so next thing is to go to Lowe's and try to match that paint, which should not be hard. It looks more vibrant on the picture than it actually, or on the camera than it actually is. It is very faded. You can see a lot of the grain through the paint. I mean, you know, it's 90-year-old toy. It's kind of what we expect from that. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and get ready for my next thing. I'm live. How about that? Back? All right. Is the camera back? Seeing any of you. Hey, Mike. Yeah. Crazy that. Now the whole mic or camera stand is gone. Alright, let's see here. Well, I don't have anything on my camera flipped. How about now? Great. I can't see any of you, but that's alright. Anybody out there that hasn't smashed the like button? I'm one shy of 20. Flip it again. How about that? No? Oh well. It would probably come back if I... Alrighty. So anyway, that was my project for today. Here is our rolling pin. I'm halfway debating on sanding this good to, you know, get the oxidation off of it and all that. He's going to let the grandkids play with it, so I don't guess it actually matters if the patina remains. Yeah, it's a as was explained to me, it was from the 19... Thanks, Alan. There are days I feel like a Sasquatch. Semi-invisible and a gorilla just the same. But as it was explained to me, Amy, the original rolling pin was from the 1930s and had, or it was like Holly Hobby or Susie Homemaker, one of those. And it belonged to this fella's grandmother, and she's gone, but he has a rolling pin and would like for his grandkids to be able to play with it. So it was missing one of these, so I made a new set. They're not perfect, but they'll be good enough for the kiddos. And if not, then I'll bring it back and do it again. It's not an incredibly expensive project to do. So that was fun. Some of the things that people ask me to do at the farmer's market are more interesting than the stuff I have on the table. This repair project of this rolling pin. I repaired a cutting board for a chef a year ago, and it turned into serving trays and a butcher block, and so that kind of stuff is fun for me. I enjoy making this stuff, but it's the interesting errands that make it fun. So I'm going to call it for now. I've been on here almost an hour. Me either, Mike. It's been a busy summer. Believe it or not, I was online and did more videos during the school year. Just got to keep the flow and get back in the swing. I missed a few lives because, I was painting the shop and all that stuff. So, anyway, I'll talk at you all later. Have a great one. Goodbye.